This is a review of my 2016 Toyota Tacoma. This is the latest generation of the Toyota Tacoma, which started production in 2016 after a 10-year run of the previous generation Tacoma. Now the Tacoma is available in 5 different trim levels. So you've got the SR model, then you've got the SR5, that's the next step up. Then you've got the TRD Offroad, the TRD Sport, which are pretty comparable, and then you've got the Limited model, which is the most expensive variation of the Tacoma. Now when I was choosing a Tacoma, based on the additional options that you get with the TRD models, that was kind of the price point that I was looking at and figured was kind of the best value. So I narrowed my search down between the TRD Sport and the TRD Offroad and decided that the TRD Offroad provided the best package for what I was looking for. Now I'll give you a quick overview of the car and point out some of the unique features of the TRD Sport Offroad, sorry. So first of all, you've got the chrome grille. That's an option that is only available on the TRD models. So you can get that on the Sport model and on the Off-Road model. Now on the Sport model, you've got a fairing that's underneath the bumper. The Off-Road model doesn't have that in order to give you a better approach angle. You also get some wheels that are a little bit more kind of rugged. You've got the stock tires. This actually is a second set of tires, but the original stock tires were Kevlar reinforced, so pretty good for rough driving conditions. On the Sport model, you get a larger size wheel and sport tires, better for just driving on the road. Now, one of the features that I really felt was most worthwhile about the TRD Off-Road, you can see the blue shocks back in there. Those are Bilstein shocks that are a little bit more heavy duty for off-road purposes. Now, in addition to all of those items, the TRD Off-Road model comes with a locking rear differential, which is helpful if you ever get in a tricky place driving-wise. With the TRD models, you also are upgraded to the LED lights, which make a little kind of backward L shape around the projector beam headlights. Now, you can also get the Tacoma in either a 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive option. The 4-wheel drive option in an automatic transmission is rated at 18 miles per gallon in the city and 23 miles per gallon on the highway. If you decided to opt with a manual transmission, which is actually only available in the short bed, so this has a 6-foot bed, the short bed is a 5-foot bed. You can only get the manual transmission if it's a short bed model. So that was something that I was debating on. The manual is kind of nice, but you can't get it with the long bed, and I needed a little bit more cargo space in the back. But then the other thing is that the gas mileage is pretty significant between the two. So I mentioned 18 and 23 with the automatic transmission. If you go with the manual transmission, it's rated at 17 in the city and 20 on the highway. So you end up with a 3 mile per gallon difference in highway driving. This one's got a cover on the bed. There's a Toyota stock, well, not stock, but an option produced by Toyota. On the tailgate, this is kind of a nice feature. It's got a slow drop so that it doesn't slam down when opened. The TRD models also come with a power outlet in the box. You can see here that we're fitted with a backup camera. Now, this latest generation of the Tacoma has a 3.5 liter V6 engine. So it is a new engine from the previous generation, which was a 4 liter V6. You end up with better gas mileage, supposedly a little more power. I had a 2006 Tacoma prior to this, and to me that one seemed a little bit more powerful, but I haven't really had a chance to fully test that out just yet. If you go with the Sport model over the TRD, there's a front hood scoop. So you can see on the off-road model, you do not get that feature. On the TRD Sport, you also get painted fenders. So you can see here we've just got plastic. They would paint that the color of the car on the Sport model. So basically, between the Sport and the off-road model, if you get a Sport model, you get a fairing on the front, you get Sport wheels, you get a hood scoop that's actually not functional, it's just for appearances, and then you get painted fenders. With the off-road model, you get heavy-duty tires, heavy-duty shocks, and a locking rear differential. So it's a little bit more functional, even though, well, it's debatable whether the sport or the off-road looks better. The sport, you know, looks sportier, and the off-road looks a little bit more muscular or capable. So kind of depends on your personal preference. This is a fully loaded TRD off-road model. Got the blinkers on the mirror, got the sunroof up ahead, up above. Also didn't show that, but here we've got the smart key. So if I put my finger there, locks the doors. Put my hand on the door handle, it unlocks. Now inside the vehicle, this is where I think that they really made the most improvements with the new generation of the Tacoma, with one exception, and that being the seats. I don't find the seats to be incredibly comfortable, and there is a kind of a bar or something right in here, and so depending on how far back you are positioned, it's not real comfortable there on that edge. I mentioned we've got the sunroof up above. Now the TRD off-road, I mentioned that you've got the locking rear differential, so this is where you can see that. You've got some different drive options, and then right here is the button for locking rear differential. Traction control, controls for the sunroof. So you can either tilt that or you can completely open and close. Really like the styling of the new interior. I think it's got a really nice, new, sleek, modern look to it. Particularly the infotainment control system up here. Along with the smart key on the exterior, we do have a smart key start-stop, so there's actually not somewhere to insert a key in the vehicle. So if we go ahead and push the start button to start it up, we're actually gonna go ahead and just turn the ignition on, not the vehicle. Show you a few features. So you got a safety warning that comes up on the navigation screen here. So this is the home screen on the infotainment system, and you can actually reconfigure this however you like. So I have it set up so I've got gas mileage information that's available, so it shows my range and average, some of my favorite contacts, and then I've got my navigation screen over to the right. You can actually go into these settings, click on that display. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong. Click on settings, home screen, and then you could go to like a 2-panel, or say I wanted to change navigation and say I wanted a clock there. I could click on clock, it would replace that navigation with a clock. I don't want to make any changes because I have this set up the way I like. So that's kind of a nice feature to be able to configure that the way that you like. You can also like click on the audio button and it'll bring up all the audio. So it's a really intuitive navigation infotainment system. So that's one of my favorite features about the car so far, is just how easy that is to use. We've got heated seats for driver and passenger here. We've got dual climate control for passenger and driver. Heated mirrors. Here we've got our control for four-wheel drive. It's on the fly, so you can switch into four-wheel drive while you're moving. Here we've got the button for turning blind spot monitoring on and off. So what that does is if you've got a vehicle that's in your blind spot, you can see that little logo right there. That lights up in yellow. And we've got that on both driver and passenger mirrors, where that will light up if there's someone in the blind spot. Here we've got parking sensors, so you can turn those on and off. Here we've got a USB port and an aux port. And then this guy here is for charging a phone wirelessly. So if you push that button, there's a little pad here where you can set your phone and that'll charge it up if your phone has that capability. I've got an iPhone, and so I cannot do that with my phone. We've got steering wheel controls, so you can control through all the settings with this one over on this side, and then audio controls on the left side. Got power windows, door locks, mirrors, control for the light on the rear of the truck. This was for turning that power outlet in the bed on and off. And that's about it. I mean, there are a lot of features inside of the infotainment system that you can control. This one is fitted with the JBL speakers, so it's upgraded sound system versus just the stock system. We do not have power seats in this, so everything's manual on that. In the back seat, decent amount of space. Not a, necessarily going to be a great amount of space for somebody that's, really tall or an adult. But if you got kids back there, you're going to be all right. A little bit tight with the car seat, surprisingly. Thought I'd have a little more space than that. So, kind of a overview of the interior there. So driving the Tacoma, it's a nice ride. It's pretty comfortable, pretty smooth. I don't have any major complaints about it, but at the same time, it's certainly not at the top of its class as far as ride quality and just kind of overall ride of the vehicle. Like I said, I've got no complaints about it, but it feels like a truck that's 10 years old. Like really, it feels a lot like they took the previous generation Tacoma and dressed it up a little bit, made a few minor improvements, and basically kept it the same. And so, the good and bad to that is that you're gonna have a really reliable truck. They didn't, make any huge advancements in engine technology or transmission. You've got some of the domestic brands out there that have cylinder deactivation and 8 and 10 speed automatic transmissions. With this one, you've got just a basic 6-cylinder engine with a 6-speed automatic transmission. There's nothing fancy about it, which is good and bad because that means you're probably not going to have any issues with it, but at the same time, it's not going to be as powerful, it's not going to get as good a gas mileage, it's not going to be as quick, but it's adequate. And I took those all into consideration when I bought it. I have driven other trucks that have a lot more power and drive better, and yet at the same time, I felt like my 2006 Tacoma that I had, I really liked the feel of it. I liked the size, that it wasn't such a big truck, and there were just enough good things about it. I didn't feel like it was necessary for me to have any of that. And so I really wanted to get something that was similar to what I had, that just had fewer miles. And in my case, I had an access cab and I wanted to get the double cab. And so that was adequate for me. I decided to go with the Tacoma. But at the same time, I think that Toyota is lagging a little bit as far as the refinement and ride quality of the Tacoma. The steering on the Tacoma is pretty good. You get nice feedback from the road. It's not loose, not overly tight, so it's just right in that happy medium. As far as the power of the truck, that is the one thing I'm not crazy about. I don't necessarily mind that it lags a little bit compared to some of the domestic models, but it's definitely lacking in power. Going 65 miles an hour up a mountain pass, it's going to be struggling. You're going to definitely notice that the truck's working hard, and that's going to be the same if you're merging onto a highway. It just really has to work hard to accelerate, and I'll give you a little taste of that right now. I'll just kind of accelerate hard. So we're now up to 50 miles an hour. So you could get an idea of how hard it was working there. We got up to about 4,000 RPMs. I wasn't flooring it. I was just accelerating a little bit hard, and the RPMs jump up pretty quickly and pretty easily. But again, like I said, it just depends on what your needs are. If your need is that you want to have a lot of passing power when you're on a mountain pass going 70 miles an hour, Tacoma is probably not the truck for you. If you're planning on carrying pretty heavy loads, either towing or in the bed. Again, the Tacoma is not going to have as much power as some of the other brands out there, but at the same time, reliability is probably going to be a little better because the technology advancements, are pretty incremental, and there's not a whole lot that can go wrong. The technologies have been tried and tested, and so the risk of that is pretty minimal. As far as the cabin, it's pretty quiet. Again, not a huge noticeable difference for me from my 2006. I feel like it's fairly comparable, and in a lot of ways that's a compliment to Toyota as well, because the 2006 that I had, it had 210,000 miles on it, 11 years old, and still a quiet truck with a lot of power, and definitely a good truck. And that was 2006. They basically kept the same truck through 2015. So obviously people liked them enough, they continued to sell them, and maintaining that was adequate for them. So I've got some more videos of the 2016 Toyota Tacoma planned. Overall, it's a great truck. I liked my 2006 well enough that I decided to buy another, and I'm looking forward to putting up some more videos soon to talk about some of the different characteristics of this truck. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Subscribe for more videos of this Tacoma. Thanks.